and address them. So we got our head, two ears, two eyes, one nose, one mouth. That's 6 in total. So I'm going to be talking about number theory and the royal way, and how virtue correlates to perfect numbers in math theory. And we're going to talk about deficient numbers, superabundant numbers, perfect numbers, and we're going to use this by Thomas Taylor and by Gregory of Nyssa, and the Bible, of course. And it's just really interesting to see perfect numbers in creation, um, perfect numbers as virtue. So a perfect number is a number whose proper dividers add up, and its sum is the whole of the number. And there's only 51 known perfect numbers in the infinity of numbers. So these are very precise and specific numbers. So I'll give an example of a perfect number, and I'll start with the smallest, and then I'll do the second smallest, because I'm not doing all that math. So we have a perfect number 6. So it can be halved by 3, and that's 2. And a third is 2. And in a sixth, 1. So if you add 2 plus 3 plus 1, that equals 6. So those correspond. And that way, it's not sufficient, or it's not deficient or superabundant. And we'll get into those next. So we'll do it with 28 right here. So 28. 8, you get it. So a half is 14. A seventh is 4. Fourth, 7. 14th is 2. And the 28th equals 1. So you add those up. 14 plus 4 plus 7 plus 2 plus 1 equals 28. I'm sorry if it's bugging people who are really know math, but this is how I'm adding it up. So those correspond, and it's the whole. And it's neither deficient or superabundant. So a deficient number is a number whose dividers don't add up to the whole. It's less than. So an example would be 4. You can half it, that's 2, and then divided by 4, that's 1. So that equals 3. 3 is less than 4. So it's deficient. It's proper dividers don't add up and fill the space. It's missing a part. It's lacking. And a superabundant number is a number whose dividers add up and it's more than the whole of the number. So it's overfilling. It's beyond capacity, or beyond proper limit. So if we take 12, we can do half, which is 6, a third, which is 4, a fourth, which is 3, a sixth, which is 2, and then a 12th, which is 1. Add those up, and you get 10, 16. So 16 more than 12, making it superabundant. So understanding the perfect number 6 in creation, we can look at 3 different parts of our body, or like 3 different holes of our body, and address them. So we got our head, two ears, two eyes, one nose, one mouth. That's six in total. The parts make up the whole. And we look at our hands. One, two, three, four, five fingers. One palm makes up your hand. And going to the body, we've got two legs, two arms, one body, or one center area, center of mass. A head, that's six. That's six parts making up the whole. And at least for me, that definitely helps me see creation at work and see perfection in creation, in the 6 days of creation and the human body. So we have our corresponding table here. We got virtue, or the royal path, and perfect. And on both sides, we have deformities of perfection, or deformities of virtue. So we have superabundant, deficient, both deformities. Both aren't perfection. Now, defining the royal path, I'll use, or the royal way, I'll use Gregory of Nyssa's, the way he defines it. So, in the same way, the law requires the person who keeps in step with it not to leave the way which is, as the Lord says, narrow and hard, to the left or to the right. Accordingly, all evil naturally operates in a deficiency or an excess of virtue. So he's even using the term that number theory uses: excess and abundance, excess and deficiency. In the same way, all other things which strive for the better also somehow take the middle road between the neighboring evils. And all the sub-multiples of perfect numbers are deficient, and all the multiples of it are superabundant. So it is the middle. It's in the middle of these two neighboring deformities. Now, an example that Gregory of Nyssa uses is courage. Courage is a virtue. So courage as perfect virtue. And the lacking it would be cowardice, and then excess of it would be rashness. Now, with virtues, there's also a whole lot more of ways to be deficient of it than there is to have courage or be courageous. And this goes the same with perfect numbers. There's few perfect numbers, and then there's a ton of deficiencies or superabundant ones. And it's just a super interesting way, and it's helpful to see these theoretical, I'd call them truths, work out in numbers. And a great example from Jesus, big man, God, is Matthew 5:37. But let your yes be yes and your no be no, for whatever is more than these is from the evil one. So a perfect answer. It's not deficient or superabundant. It is what it is. And I'll share some Thomas Taylor too. And he actually uses the same example when correlating it to virtue. He uses courage, just like Gregory of Nyssa. And perfect numbers, therefore, are beautiful images of the virtues which are certain media between excess and defect, and are not summits, as by some of the ancients they were supposed to be. Thus, timidity is opposed to audacity, to both which the want of true courage is common, but both timidity and audacity are opposed to fortitude. And I'll share his book right now, and this is just a number theory book, but he also talks about a lot of Neoplatonic values, and it's been really interesting, but it's heavy. Like if you don't think this is really cool, you're not gonna enjoy this book at all. That's about it. I'd love to know what you think about this, if you found it helpful, or have any thoughts on numbers and creation, or number theory and virtue. and just patterns. Um, if you think I'm gonna whack job, I'd love to hear it. Uh, about anything. Probably won't be uploading on here very often, but I don't think this will be my last video by any means, regardless of how this does. But let me know. Thanks.